Hey, this video is a school project, so skedaddle if you aren't my teacher. The world is full of problems, and people often talk about on how to solve them, but aren't educated on why they exist or what their true effect on the world is. So that's what I will be doing in this presentation. It should be noted that I will not provide any solutions to the problems we are going to talk about, as these solutions should be talked about by people who are a lot more qualified than I am. War is a terrible thing that takes the lives of countless people. It often causes economic issues for countries. However, despite all the people trying to prevent war from happening, nobody really wants to know why it even exists. War most likely originates from the basic instinct to gather resources and survive. These instincts turn into wars when creatures work together and form packs or tribes. When these tribes grow large enough, they split apart due to certain individuals separating to have their own territory. And after enough time, resources become scarce among all the tribes and begin to wage wars with each other in order to survive. The resources that are fought over can vary, but are mostly three main things: resources, territory, and women. Despite popular belief, humans aren't the first creatures to come up with the idea of war, or even territory. We aren't even the ones that wage war the most. The only thing that sets us apart from other animals that wage wars is that we could end the world. For example, ants. They are insects that work together as a hive mind to build colonies and grow as a species. However, ants aren't a single unit. Different colonies of the same species of ants wage war almost every day, with deaths sometimes being in the hundreds of thousands over something as small as a leaf or being too close to each other, sometimes for no reason at all. Human wars are slightly different than what has existed. The wars can be waged for things that aren't part of human instinct. These wars can be waged to demonstrate power or for religious reasons, but for most of the time, these demonstrations of power and religious wars are just excuses to fight for materials. Most people believe waging a war for territory or resources is because of greed, but this is not always the case. If wars were never waged, countries that don't have enough access to fresh water would not be able to get any, as they would not be able to gain more access to water. While war is generally bad, war can cause technological booms that have been very important for human development, that without them, change in technology would take tens, if not hundreds of times slower without them. Without competition, there is no reason to advance in technology. Before World War II, medicine was hard to produce and was expensive. However, after World War II causing lots of technological advancement, medicine became very easy to procure. Weapons of mass destruction are devastating and are a product of militaries needing a powerful weapon to defend themselves. Just a handful of them could wipe out the planet. However, despite their extreme danger, some of them have unexpected benefits. Nuclear bombs are just one of the types of WMD. They work by taking heavy atoms like uranium and causing them to do nuclear fission, by either bombarding the atoms with neutrons, causing the atom to split. There are other ways this could work, but I am far too lazy to mention the other methods. After the fission, they violently release huge amounts of energy in an explosion. The initial explosion is the most mild part of the bomb, as the radioactive aftermath is far worse. However, these bombs opened up a new frontier of science: nuclear energy, which has been used to create nuclear reactors and other similar things. Other types of WMD have been helpful in the development of humanity. Radiological weapons helped us create CAT scans, which is an important medical tool for diagnosis of diseases. However, I have nothing good to say about biological weapons like anthrax. Nobody likes bioweapons. WMD can also end wars quickly, preventing resources from being wasted and, counterintuitively, save lives. For example, when they dropped the 2 nukes onto Japan, it caused Japan to surrender due to the sheer power of just 2 of the US's many nukes. Without these bombs, the war could have lasted years longer, causing even more casualties than the bombs that were dropped. In fact, these bombs were so terrifyingly powerful that it stopped major wars from happening until recently. Before these bombs, major wars were relatively common. World hunger is a terrible thing. People live in poverty, unable to afford food. Children go hungry constantly. Is what I would say if it wasn't almost completely solved. The idea that children in Africa are starving is somewhat a myth these days. Even in the most remote African tribes, each person gets over 2,000 calories per day thanks to international efforts and modern technology. If there are people going hungry, then it's due to political conflict. This was probably the longest we had to work on for a single project/video, and I would like to mention all our team members that had worked on this project. First off, we have the narrator. That's me. I read and made this entire script. Then we have Other Guy.
Hi.
He brought us sandwiches and gave us the information needed for this project. And finally, we have our lovely editor. we don't talk about him.